There comes a moment in every life, if you're fortunate enough to experience it, when you scan the room, check your messages, look at the people who share your blood or your history, and you understand something absolute. Nobody is riding in to save you. No cavalry, no investor with a checkbook and a dream. No coach waiting in the wings to push you forward when your legs give out. And if you collapse, no net, just the ground. For most people, this realization is the beginning of the end. It's the moment they break in half. Abandonment becomes their identity. Victimhood becomes their language. They shake their fists at the sky and scream, "Why do I have to carry this weight alone?" But for the rare few, the ones who build while others sleep, the architects, the strategists, this moment isn't a tragedy. It's a ceremony. A baptism in isolation. You're still watching because you recognize this feeling. You carry an ambition that doesn't fit in the conversations around you. You're exhausted from translating your vision into a language small minds can digest. You're done waiting for permission, for backup, for someone to finally say go. Stop waiting. The belief that you need a team to win is the most expensive lie ever sold to ambitious people. The great ones understood this. The builders of empires didn't stand in circles taking votes. They stood alone and decided. History isn't written by committees. It's carved by individuals who realized that solitude wasn't a weakness, it was the forge. Today, I'm going to show you how to construct something meaningful when your contact list is empty. How to turn zero support into a weapon that makes the supported man look soft. But I need to be honest with you. We're about to perform surgery on your psychology. We're cutting out the part that craves applause. We're euthanizing the herd animal inside you. If that sounds terrifying, turn this off now. Go back to the crowd. They'll keep you warm. If you're ready to become someone who makes the crowd nervous, stay with me. Let's start by dismantling the myth you've been fed since birth. From your first day in a classroom, you were trained to depend. Group projects, team sports, networking events. It's not what you know, it's who you know. We've all heard it. We've all nodded along. And it's poison. When your strategy relies on who you know, you're admitting that your destiny sits in someone else's pocket. You're handing the keys to people whose self-interest will never perfectly align with yours. Machiavelli wrote that a wise leader builds on ground they control, not on ground owned by others. When you chase support, you're chasing debt. Think about it. Someone helps you, you owe. Someone invests, they own a piece. Someone offers emotional encouragement, they hold the power to withdraw it and watch you crumble. You think you're building a safety net. But a safety net is also a cage. It catches you, yes. It also traps you. The reason you haven't succeeded yet isn't because you lack backup. It's because you're still looking for it. You're burning mental calories, scanning horizons for a rescuer. You're watering down your vision so it's drinkable for people who don't even share your thirst. You're waiting for applause before you've finished the performance. You need to accept what I call the 0 point. The 0 point is total isolation. It's looking at your bank account, your contacts, your resources, and seeing nothing except your own face staring back. Most people panic here. You won't. Because you understand something they don't. Zero support means zero masters. If no one lifted you up, no one can tear you down. If you built it with your own hands, you keep every brick. This isn't bitterness, it's arithmetic. The cold math of the outlier. We don't cry about empty rooms. We use the space to build. Machiavelli said it's better to be feared than loved if you can't be both. Let me translate that for your situation. When you're searching for support, you're searching to be loved. You want your family's approval. You want your friends' cheers. You're operating from emotional hunger. Hunger repels power. Notice how it works. The more you beg for help, the less arrives. The more you try to explain your vision to small people, the harder they roll their eyes. They smell your desperation. And desperation smells like prey. To succeed with empty hands, you must stop chasing love and start commanding respect through competence alone. That requires a fundamental engine swap. You're no longer running on encouragement. You're running on defiance. Look at the people who didn't show up, the doubters, the ones who left you on read. And don't feel sadness. Feel something colder, a measured, surgical drive. They don't believe? Perfect. That means the market is wide open. They won't help? Excellent. That means I don't have to split anything. You need to reach a point where their indifference doesn't sting. It sharpens. Picture a general who turns around and sees his army has vanished. He stands alone against the enemy. Does he collapse and weep about loyalty? No. He checks his weapons. He studies the terrain. He realizes something the army never understood. One man moving in shadows is harder to kill than a clumsy battalion marching in sunlight. You are that general. Your lack of support forces you to become asymmetrical. Faster, smarter. A corporation with 1,000 employees holds meetings about meetings. You can pivot your entire existence in an afternoon because there's no one to consult. You don't need a board. You need a mirror. Stop viewing isolation as punishment. It's a filtration system. It's removing the people who would have slowed you down. It's eliminating the fake allies who would have stabbed you the moment gold appeared in your pockets. You're alone because you're being protected from the gravity of other people's mediocrity. So how do you execute this? How do you wake up every day with zero encouragement and still work like something's chasing you? You enter what I call the ghost phase. If you have no support, you have no audience. If you have no audience, you have no need to perform. Become a ghost. Most people fail because they talk their energy into vapor. They get an idea and immediately run to tell someone. The someone says, "That sounds hard," or "Are you qualified?" And just like that, the doubt enters. The energy leaks. They got a tiny dopamine hit from talking about the goal, which tricked their brain into thinking they'd achieved it. So they stop working. The ghost doesn't speak. Take a vow of silence about your ambitions. Don't tell your mother. Don't tell your partner. Don't post big things coming on social media. Silence creates pressure. When you have a massive goal inside and you don't let it out through your mouth, it builds up like steam in a sealed boiler. It becomes physical. It becomes restlessness. It becomes fuel. You need that pressure. That pressure is what pushes you to work at 2 a.m. while the supported people sleep. That pressure is the only thing strong enough to break through resistance. When you're alone, you have the luxury of total immersion. You don't have to attend events you hate. You don't have to maintain the social mask. Let the mask fall. Let the monster work. Use your isolation to obsess. The world calls obsession mental illness. We call it the entry requirement. If you have zero support, you must be obsessed. You must know more about your craft than anyone alive. You must become so technically dominant, so strategically sound, that you become impossible to ignore. Steve Martin said, "Be so good they can't ignore you." Notice he didn't say, "Be so liked they want to help you." When you're undeniable, support becomes irrelevant. And ironically, that's exactly when support starts to materialize. People love backing winners. They hate backing strugglers. As long as you're begging, you look like a struggler. But when you're crushing in silence, when you emerge from nowhere with results, suddenly everyone wants to be your friend. "I always believed in you," they'll say. You'll smile, you'll nod, but you'll never forget who was there when the room was empty. Which was no one, just you. To survive this path, you have to grieve. The motivational gurus skip this part. They tell you to hustle. They don't tell you that hustling alone hurts. You have to grieve the life you thought you'd have. You thought there'd be a cheering section. You thought your parents would understand. You thought your friends would grow alongside you. They won't. You need to hold a funeral for the version of yourself that needed them. This is painful. It's a physical ache in your chest. It feels like betrayal. You will stare at ceilings at 3 a.m. wondering if you're insane. You wonder if maybe they are right and you are wrong. This is the test. Every outlier walks through the valley. It's the period where you've left the herd but haven't reached the sanctuary. You're in the wilderness. In the wilderness, you hallucinate. You invent demons. You crave the cage you just escaped. But you can't go back. You know too much now. Once you've seen that most people are sleepwalking, that support is often just mutual sedation, you can't unsee it. So you must kill the dependent so the sovereign can rise. This requires becoming your own parent. Psychologists call this reparenting. Let's call it something darker: self-architecture. You wake up and look in the mirror and become the father you never had. You look at your bank account and become the provider you never had. You look at your emotions and become the therapist you never had. You talk to yourself, literally. Get up. We have work to do. Stop crying. No one cares. Focus. This is the only way out. You develop a split personality. There's the you that's tired, emotional, weak. And there's the you that's the commander. The commander drags the weakling through the mud. Eventually, the weakling dies. Only the commander remains. This is what Machiavelli meant by the prince having a flexible disposition. You must be cruel to yourself in the short term to be kind to yourself in the long term. You deny comfort now so you can rule later. If you have zero support, you have no one to enable your weakness. If you sleep in, no one wakes you. If you don't work, you don't eat. The feedback loop is immediate and brutal. This is a gift. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Support often acts as a cushion that prevents you from feeling the hard impact of your own laziness. When you're alone, the concrete hits hard. You learn fast. You adapt. You become what Nassim Taleb calls anti-fragile. Let's talk about the story you tell yourself. The average person tells a victim story. I couldn't start because I had no funding. I couldn't get fit because I had no gym partner. You will tell a different story, a villain origin story. I don't mean you become evil, I mean you become motivated by the slight. Michael Jordan, the greatest competitor in sports history, used to invent insults. He'd convince himself an opposing player disrespected him just to summon the rage to destroy them. You need to do this. Take every rejection, every ignored message, every smirk, every doubt, and place it in a mental furnace. They didn't support you? Good. They laughed at your idea? Perfect. They excluded you? Excellent. Burn it. Anger is a cleaner fuel than sadness. Sadness makes you heavy. It makes you want to lie down. Anger makes you light. It makes you want to move. Machiavelli wrote that men are so focused on immediate needs that a deceiver will always find victims. Don't be the victim. Be the one who sees through the game. Understand that they didn't support you because they literally couldn't see what you see. They're simple. They obey immediate needs: safety, comfort, conformity. You're complex. You obey future needs: glory, impact, freedom. You're speaking a language they don't understand. Stop trying to translate. Just build the tower so high they have to break their necks looking up at it. When you succeed with zero support, the victory is pure. There's no one to thank in the speech, no one to split equity with. There's a dark satisfaction in knowing you walked through fire and didn't burn, even while everyone watched and waited for you to turn to ash. But to get there, you need strategic isolation. Most people are isolated by accident. You must be isolated by design. Cut the cord. If you're hanging around people who drain you just because you're afraid of being alone, you're leaking power. You're paying a social tax to stay in a club you don't even want to be in. Stop paying the tax. Sit in your room, stare at the wall, feel the silence. It will be loud at first. Your thoughts will scream. You're a loser. You have no friends. Let them scream. Watch them. Analyze them. Where do those voices come from? A teacher in 3rd grade? A cynical relative? Television? They're not yours. Once the screaming stops, and it will stop, you'll hear something else. A quiet, steady hum. That's your own mind coming online for the first time. That's your intuition. That's your strategy. You cannot hear that voice when you're surrounded by the noise of support groups and brainstorming sessions. Greatness is born in the void. Let's look at this logically. Emotion aside. Collaborations fail, partnerships dissolve, marriages end. The statistics are against you. Whenever you introduce another variable, another human into your success equation, you increase complexity and failure risk. Humans are volatile. They get sick, bored, jealous, scared. They change their minds. If your plan relies on another person behaving consistently, your plan is flawed. Machiavelli warned against using borrowed armies. Why? Because if they lose, you're defeated. If they win, you're their prisoner. If you succeed using someone else's money, connections, or platform, you're their prisoner. You play by their rules. You censor your message. You compromise your vision. Succeeding with zero support is the only way to own your soul. Is it harder? Yes. Does it take longer sometimes? Yes. Is it worth it? Always. You're building a foundation of granite. The man lifted to the top by a helicopter stands on the peak but has no leg muscles. When the wind blows, he falls. The man who climbed alone, clawing his way up the rock, bleeding, freezing, he has legs of steel. The wind can't move him. He is the mountain. You want to be the climber, not the passenger. This is why you must embrace the difficulty. When you hit a roadblock and there's no one to call, don't panic. Smile. This is the rep that builds the muscle. This is where you learn to solve problems. If a mentor gives you the answer, you learned nothing. You memorized a solution. If you dig through mud for 3 weeks to find the answer yourself, you own that knowledge. It's in your DNA now. Zero support means maximum education. You're forced to learn marketing, product, finance, psychology. You become a polymath. You become a weapon of mass competence. The specialist is easy to replace. The generalist who built the whole castle from scratch, irreplaceable. So look at your empty contact list and say, thank you. Thank you for forcing me to become everything I needed. Now let's go deeper into the psychology. There's a concept called sublimation. It's a defense mechanism where you take raw, uncomfortable emotions and transform them into productive action. You're alone. You're likely sad, angry, or afraid. The average person numbs these feelings. They drink, they scroll, they consume. They do anything to sedate the pain of isolation. You will do the opposite. You will feel the pain fully, and you will channel it into the work. Pain is energy. It's high-octane fuel. Have you noticed how much work you can get done when you're heartbroken, when you're furious? The outlier learns to tap this source on command. You don't wait for tragedy. You use the ambient pain of your solitude. I am alone. Work harder. They ignored me. Write better. I am broke. Sell more. You create a Pavlovian response where pain triggers production. This is how you become a machine. While others are paralyzed by their emotions, you are propelled by them. Machiavelli called this vert, not moral virtue, but capability. The ability to impose your will on fortune. Fortune, he said, favors the bold. She favors the man who doesn't ask permission. When you have support, you get soft, you feel safe. And safety is the death of ambition. You need to feel unsafe. You need to feel that if you stop swimming, you'll drown. That survival instinct unlocks dormant parts of your brain. We are evolutionarily designed to survive. When you strip away the safety net, your primal brain wakes up. Your senses heighten. Your creativity spikes. You see opportunities you'd miss if you were comfortable. Welcome the danger. Welcome the solitude. It's waking you up. We've talked about mindset. Now we need to talk about mechanics. Specifically, the fuel source. When you're supported, you run on light energy, inspiration, joy, collaboration. When you're alone, you must learn to run on dark energy. Carl Jung called this the shadow. Machiavelli called it the fox and the lion. Most people repress their dark side. They're taught that envy, aggression, and pride are sins. So they push them down. They try to be good. And because they try to be good, they become harmless. You cannot succeed with zero support if you're harmless. To build from nothing, you need aggression. You need the ability to look at a competitor and want to crush them, not physically, but strategically. You need the pride to believe you deserve more than the crumbs society has thrown you. Integrate your shadow. Stop feeling guilty about your ambition. Stop feeling guilty about wanting wealth. Stop feeling guilty about wanting to prove everyone wrong. That darkness isn't evil. It's potential energy. Think of a rocket. It doesn't fly because it has good intentions. It flies because it creates a controlled explosion at its base. Your shadow is that explosion. When you're alone at 11 p.m. and you want to quit, inspiration won't save you. Inspiration is fickle. It leaves when things get hard. But spite is loyal. Pride is eternal. Use them. Tell yourself, if I quit now, the people who doubted me win. Tell yourself, if I stop, I prove them right. It's dirty fuel, yes, but it burns hot. And right now, you need heat. You can switch to solar power later, once you're in orbit. But to escape gravity, you need fire. Machiavelli wrote that God doesn't do everything because he wants to leave us our share of glory. He's telling you that you're expected to fight, to grab glory with your own hands. Don't be the nice guy who finishes last. Be the integrated man who finishes first. Be polite, be civilized, but keep the monster on a leash, ready to work. You have no boss, no team, no accountability partner. This is the danger zone. Most people, left to their own devices, dissolve into entropy. They sleep until 10. They scroll. They work 20 minutes, then take 2 hours off. They treat freedom like vacation. If you do this, you will die, metaphorically and financially. To succeed with zero support, you must become a benevolent dictator to yourself. You need a protocol. A protocol isn't a to-do list. A to-do list is a wish. A protocol is law. 1. The morning negotiation. The moment your eyes open, you're in a negotiation. The weak part of your brain wants to hit snooze. It wants comfort. You must win this first battle every single day. If you lose to the alarm clock, you've already signaled to your subconscious that you're not in charge. 2. Deep work blocks. You don't work all day. That's a lie people tell to look busy. You do deep work. You shut off your phone. You lock the door. You enter a trance state for hours. In those hours, you produce more than a corporation does in a week. Why? No meetings, no interruptions. This is your asymmetrical advantage: speed, focus, lethality. 3. Information diet. If you have no support, your mind is your only asset. Fill it with garbage, you produce garbage. Stop watching news, stop watching drama, stop consuming content that makes you feel small. Read philosophy, read strategy, read technical manuals. Machiavelli studied the Romans. He didn't study Florentine gossip. He studied greatness to become great. 4. The evening review. At the end of each day, audit yourself. Look in the mirror. Ask, did I move the needle today, or did I just make noise? You have no boss to give performance reviews. You must be the boss, and a harsh one. If you failed, admit it. Correct it. Don't coddle yourself. This structure creates a container for your chaos. It replaces the external structure of a job or school with an internal structure of iron. Let's address the biggest distraction for the solitary builder: networking. You're told to network, go to events, hand out cards. Listen to me closely. Networking is for people who have nothing to offer. When you're starting from zero, you have no leverage. If you walk into a room of powerful people, you're a beggar. You're asking for attention. You're asking for favors. Powerful people smell beggars. They despise them. Do not go to networking events. Stay home and build. Build value. Build a product. Build an audience. Build a skill set so rare, so valuable, that you become a magnet. When you're a magnet, you don't need to chase the iron. The iron comes to you. Machiavelli advised the prince to make himself necessary. A wise prince relies on what's in his power. Make yourself necessary to the market. If you're the best video editor in your niche, YouTubers will find you. If you're the best copywriter, agencies will find you. If you're the best strategist, CEOs will find you. Build the honeypot. Stop chasing the bees. Every hour you spend at a networking mixer is an hour stolen from your craft. It's an hour you could have used to become undeniable. The best network is a portfolio of undeniable work. The best introduction is a track record of excellence. Succeed first, network later. And when you finally enter those rooms, you won't be handing out cards. People will be asking for yours. This next part will feel like a movie, but it's real. If you follow this path, the path of the ghost, the outlier, the strategist, something strange will happen. You will start to win. The numbers will climb. The money will arrive. The confidence will radiate off you like heat. And then they will come back. The friends who were too busy for coffee. The family who asked when you'd get a real job. The partners who left for someone more stable. They will return. And they will smile. And they will say the word that makes your stomach turn. We. I always knew we would make it. I'm so proud of us. They will try to rewrite history. They will try to insert themselves into your narrative. They want to stand next to the trophy they didn't help lift. This is your final test. The old you, the one who craved support, will want to let them back in. You'll want the validation. You'll want to say, see, they love me now. Do not do it. You must handle this with strategic grace. You don't need to be mean. You don't need a scene. You simply maintain the distance. You treat them with the same polite indifference they treated you with. You become a wall of glass. They can see you, but they can't touch you. Realize that their love is conditional. It's based on your utility to them. Your status, that's fine. It's human nature. But you don't build a castle on shifting sand. You keep your circle tight. You keep the gates closed. The only people allowed in are the ones who helped you carry the stones. And since you carried them alone, the castle belongs to you alone. This isn't loneliness. This is sovereignty. There's a peace in this that's hard to describe. It's the peace of knowing you're self-reliant. You know that if you lost everything tomorrow, you could build it all again. Because you are the asset, not your friends, not your network, not your luck. You. So where does this end? It doesn't. Once you've succeeded with zero support, you've unlocked a new level. You're no longer the survivor. You're the architect. You now have resources to build the world you wanted to live in. And here's the beautiful paradox. Now that you don't need support, you can give it. You can become the person you wished you had. You can spot the young, hungry, lonely one who's about to give up. And you can be the one who says, keep going. You don't do it to get something back. You do it because you know the pain of the empty room. But you do it strategically. You don't save everyone. You only invest in those who show the spark. You become the mentor, the patron, the guide. Machiavelli said, it's double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. For you, it's double pleasure to support the unsupported, to fix the glitch in the system that left you behind. But never forget where you came from. Never forget the cold. Never forget the silence. Keep a piece of that darkness in your heart. Let it be the anchor that keeps you grounded while the world throws flowers at your feet. They clap for you now, but you know the truth. You clapped for yourself when the room was silent, and that applause is the only sound that matters. The empty room isn't a rejection. It's a reflection of who's strong enough to stay. I can feel your brain trying to reject this. This is too hard, it whispers. I need people. Humans are social animals. That's your biology talking. That's the prey instinct trying to herd you back into the flock where it feels safe. Safety is an illusion. The sheep is safe until the wolf arrives. The wolf is safe because he's dangerous. Which one are you? The path of zero support isn't for everyone. It's for the outlier. It's for the mutation. It requires you to be willing to look like a failure for a long time so you can look like a legend forever. It requires you to suffer in the dark so you can shine in the light. Most people will turn this off and text a friend to complain about their day. They'll seek a microdose of sympathy. They'll feel better for 10 minutes. And nothing will change. But you're still here. You're analyzing. You're plotting. You're realizing that the empty chair next to you isn't a vacancy. It's a throne, waiting for you to grow big enough to fill it. Solitude isn't the absence of others. It's the presence of yourself. If something here landed for you, hit like and subscribe to Winds of Thought. We're building something different here, one solitary builder at a time.